Today we're going to take a look at the Babadio X5 SW1 camera drone. This is a product that I'm really excited to be able to review for you. It's my first drone, and I've been, again, like I said, trying to get a hold of one of these for quite some time. So I'm excited that I'll be able to look at it. As it stands, you're going to see it exactly the same time I do and get my first impressions of it. If we open, or as we open up the box, it's presented quite nicely inside. This is the black version. It's extremely light, which I'd assume it would be, in order to be able to fly quite well. So you can see kind of size comparison to my hand. It's a decent size, not too large I don't think. Without looking at the instructions though, I want to show you. It looks like we have on the bottom side we have two red lights and a green light on each of those arms. It is a quadcopter design. It comes with a DH 822540 3.7 volt 780 milliamp battery. And as I recall, it actually comes with two of these, which is really quite nice. And according to the manufacturer, you get about 9 minutes of fly time off of each one. Also, I wanted to show you real quick that this does have a 2 megapixel camera mounted underneath, where 2 megapixels might not be great on today's standards as far as photography. As far as drones go, that's actually really high end from what I've seen on others, especially for an entry-level drone like this one. Going a little bit deeper into the box, it does have a fairly large remote. It seems to respond quite well. Looks like you have really good controls. And it looks like I have inside, there's a quick start guide with QR codes to download the controlling app, because you can control this with your smartphone. It does come in English as well. You do have an iOS, a Chinese Android, and an international Android. So this is the one that I'm going to try to download and show you that in a little bit. And it looks like you get an awful lot as far as the interface goes on the app, but we'll look at that when I download the app. Then you have tonight's reading, the instruction manual, which is surprisingly thin. It's 5-6 pages worth of reading, which I'll definitely want to read beforehand and give you anything that I find on it. I'm going to set this off camera for a second and tell you what each of the buttons do on the remote. So if we look at it this way, the left controller is your accelerator. This button is your headless mode. This one is your left and right trim. Of course, you've got your power button here in the middle. The button up here is your 3D inversion, which I believe is like a 3D flip. And then switching over to this side of the control, you have your forward and backward trimmer is right here. This is your right control lever for steering. This is your sideward fine tuning. Up here on this shoulder button is your high and low speed switch, so it does have two different speeds. And then you have, again, like I said, you've got your photo and video which is only on the camera version. This one is the camera version. And then of course, this is the one key return. So that's what all the controls are. Again, it's laid out quite well. Quite nice. And lastly, we have this little box, which I'm guessing is probably your charging station, and possibly a couple of spare parts. Looks like we do have some pieces to put together real quick, and I'll put those on. It looks like you've got some legs. We do have some shields for the blades. It also comes with a little screwdriver. Looks like a charging cable. A couple of extra blades. And this piece actually hooks onto the remote so that you can mount your phone onto the remote. Okay, so it took about 10-15 minutes, but now I have it completely put together, including the hooking the battery up on the inside. It does come disconnected. There's just a really quick little lead you have to put in. One thing I do want to make note of is, even though they supply a couple of extra screws, you do need to install retaining screws on each of the legs, as well as the shields, the blade shields. Other than that, it was pretty straightforward. It took me about 10 minutes to put up, and now I think I'm just about ready to fly once I find some batteries. Just to show you that it is hooked up and working. Flip it on, you can see the different lights on the bottom flashing. And we're good to go. I'm gonna go find some batteries and away we'll go. First impressions are that I'm really stoked about this. It's by far one of the coolest things that I've been able to get a hold of, and I hope to get some really good footage out of it. I'm not an ace pilot by any means at the moment, and I think that's one of the things that they kind of target, is this is a beginner's style of drone. In fact, I believe I did find this on another site that listed it as one of the top 5 beginner drones. But I'll give you some first impressions on how easy it is for a newbie to fly, and hopefully get you some pretty good footage of the air around my house. I'll see you in a little bit. One of the things I did notice about this particular drone, which I think is a lot better than some of the other ones in the same price point, is that, let me get up closer and show you, a lot of them have a fixed camera. This one doesn't have a mechanical gimbal, but what you can do is you can adjust the angle of the camera before you go into flight, which I think is really nice. It allows you to get quite a bit more. Final thoughts on this are, it's a lot of fun. I think it's a great camera drone, sorry, to start off with. It's a great beginner drone, and though the footage might not be the greatest, it'll definitely help you get your feet wet and decide whether or not it's something that you want to do without having to spend a ton of money. It's a great little product.